Hi, everyone. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and as we celebrate his legacy, let's also call ourselves to continue his work. Dr. King grounded his call for civil rights in the Imago Dei, the image of God. It's the truth that all of us are created in God's image. And as Dr. King said, that is the foundation. In fact, that's the only foundation upon which civil rights can be built. Because if we're not made in the image of God, to use Voltaire's phrase, if we're just tormented atoms in a bed of mud, then who's to say that one race is not superior to another race? And yet, if we are made in the image of God, if we are handcrafted, individually designed by the God of the universe, then any kind of racial discrimination is totally out of bounds. Dr. King also talked a lot about the beloved community. It's this philosophy of a society based on justice, based on equal opportunity, and based on love for each other. It's grounded in the truth that we are all God's children. And as one human family, God's vision, which Dr. King so beautifully articulated, is that we would be united. All tribes, tongues, and languages would be united together and reflect God's image. And yet the reality is that we, as a family of God, have a hard time getting along. We find ourselves in violent opposition to each other. In a normal time, we'd be together on campus today. We'd have a special chapel service for Martin Luther King Day. We'd have a keynote speaker. We'd have events and activities all throughout the day. That was the case last year. And last year, on this day, I spoke in chapel on Martin Luther King Day. And in that talk, I observed the fact that although our nation and our communities are getting more diverse, we're simultaneously getting more divided. That was a year ago. And the last 12 months have shown us how divided we really are. And that division, that problem of division, that's deeper than just sibling rivalry among God's children. It's a matter of hate. There's hate here, and the hate has taken on the form of racism. Racism is a virus, and it's infected us. It's infected our communities, our schools, our churches, our country, our laws. It's infected us as individuals. It's infected our attitudes, our actions, our words, and our hearts. This virus, unlike COVID, isn't new. It's been around for centuries. And yet, what's happened over the last 12 months has given us an opportunity for collective awakening. Because when God moves, he shines a light. He shines a light, a bright light on sin, and that's happened over the last 12 months. God has shown a bright light on the sin of racism. And I happen to believe that God is trying to say to us, do you see this? Do you see this? It has to stop. That means this cannot be a moment in time that passes. This has to be an inflection point, something that causes real change. We're a Christian academic community. We're a community that together is seeking truth, and we're a community that loves learning. Part of learning means it's okay to change. It's okay to acknowledge where we need to get better. And that change has to start with us as individuals. It has to start with examining ourselves and looking at where we can change as individuals. The Bible is brutally honest about the flaws of even the most remarkable people. And we can follow that example. We can look at ourselves and examine where we need to change in our actions, our attitudes, our words, and our hearts. And then with God's help, we can make those changes. We should also examine how we can better love our community. How can we create a community characterized by belonging? How can we create a community where everyone feels safe here? Because the reality is, as we prepare to come back together next week, some people in our community are not feeling safe. They're feeling afraid. And that's not about politics. We can argue about politics. This is not about who you voted for or what your political persuasion is. The reality is that recent events have caused many people to feel alienated, hurt, unsafe, and unwelcome in their own country. And the only Christian response to that is to find ways to love those who are made in God's image, not argue. I know we're tired. We're exhausted. That's because the world is exhausting. I love the story in the Bible when Moses is holding up his arms, and as long as he's holding up his arms, they're winning the battle. But Moses, too, gets tired. He gets exhausted, and so two people have to come alongside him and help him hold up his arms. For some of us, we need to come alongside somebody who's been fighting for civil rights for a long time, and they're exhausted. We need to find ways to help each other. But I think for a lot of us, it's time for us to do more than that. I think for a lot of us, it's time for us to step in and hold our arms up ourselves. It's time for us to take on new leadership. Because you know what? When God needs something done on earth, what does he do? He uses people. When God needed a leader of the civil rights movement, he chose Martin Luther King to be that leader. And I happen to believe that God is choosing us, Hope College, to be a leader in this moment. God gave us a name 160 years ago, hope. It happens to be the thing that the world is desperately searching for right now, and we can live into that name, and we can show the world that this idea of a beloved community is possible. We can do it. It starts with ourselves. It starts with examining ourselves and looking at where we can get better. And then it starts with real devotion, real love and devotion for those around us, for our community, for those made in God's image. We can do it. We can do it, Hope College. Spera in Deo.